Hey guys, what's up? It's Samantha, and I am finally sitting down to do my November monthly plan with me. I'm using this gorgeous kit by Scribble Co., and I had washi with gold foil from Simply Gilded that matched every color in this kit. Plus, I had that amazing coral, fall pumpkin washi that worked perfectly with this Thanksgiving-themed monthly kit. So I am just putting down the top part there because the whole first part of the video, I guess the holidays too, but I am going to do a massive washi banner across the days from October at the top instead of putting down the boxes. So buckle up because it's going to take a hot second to get through all of this. I'm just putting down the holidays. So I'm going to talk about the books that I read in October. This is why I wanted to go back and film this, even though it's now December. So in October, I did not read a ton in either October or November, just because I was pretty sick for most of both months. So the first book I read in October was Crooked Kingdom, which is the sequel to Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. So it was the sequel, and I really, really enjoyed it. I actually think I might have liked it more than Six of Crows. I'm not entirely sure I completely followed the plot of Crooked Kingdom. I couldn't really remember why people were doing different things or how all of the pieces of the plot connected together, but the characters are just so wonderful, and you really care about the characters. It's kind of a Ocean's 11 sort of heist book, but the characters are just so wonderful, and I just cared deeply for all of them. So I definitely recommend, if you've read Six of Crows, or if you haven't, they're a really great, fun, fantasy, but more historical fiction kind of fantasy. It's not a high fantasy kind of book. And then the next book I read was A Room Away from the Wolves by, can't for the life of me remember what her name is. But it was kind of a spooky, creepy book. I wasn't a huge fan of it. It's one of those where you don't get all the answers, and you sort of have to guess certain things. Things aren't spelled out for you, but it's not obvious, and there's no easy answers. And I just left the book feeling really disappointed. It just didn't make sense, and it was really hard. It was written really well. It was pretty writing, but it was so hard to keep going. The middle of the book was just so boring. But I'd heard good things about it, but it just was not the book for me. There's definitely a reader for that type of book, but I am not that kind of reader. And then I'm just gonna cover this all in one big thing. I alternated between Harry Potter and other books, but I read the first 4 Harry Potter books in October, and I'm not gonna go back and forth between all of them. I'm just gonna talk about Harry Potter. So I read the first 2 my paper copies, and then I listened to 3 and 4. I've actually never listened to the Harry Potter audiobooks. I've heard clips and stuff, and I love Jim Dale, and I've listened to everything else that Jim Dale narrates, because I could listen to Jim Dale narrate the phone book. So I had a bunch of Audible credits, and I used those to buy the Harry Potter audiobooks, and I just forgot how much I missed Harry Potter. It had been a hot minute since I'd reread it. I've probably read the first 5 each over 50 times. Conservatively, the first 4 I may have read over 100 times. I was really big in the Harry Potter fan fiction community. Back in the early to mid 2000s, I had all my friends were online, and we all were reading and writing and editing fan fiction all the time, and it was like a really big part of my life, which is part of why I like obsessively read the books. But I just forgot how much I liked Harry Potter, like without all this crap that like has gotten tacked on afterwards. Like the Cursed Child is a dumpster fire. The story makes no sense and it doesn't fit with all of the other things that are canon in the books. And it just, like a lot of the stuff that's kind of been retconned into the series, like sometimes, as much as I love like I still like J.K. Rowling as a writer, like I love her Cormoran Strike books, like I read those, I really enjoy them, but I just wish she would shut up about Harry Potter and like stop trying to tack things on and just like let the story be. I don't know, and I'm just, it was so nice to just like read the books as a whole and like forget about all the other crap, because I feel like sometimes when like people just start talking on Twitter, it's like, you're ruining this for me, like all this other stuff. So I was just, I don't know. It was really refreshing to just read Harry Potter and let Harry Potter just be Harry Potter and like ignore all the other retconned crap that got thrown in on top of it. Because I still love the series so much. And I forgot how funny Ron is. That was like my biggest takeaway from the whole thing. Like I completely forgot how like absolutely funny Ron is. Like there were times I was like laughing out loud and I was like, I don't remember Ron being this funny, but maybe my sense of humor has just changed. Like I'm way more sarcastic, and I feel like Ron's pretty sarcastic. I feel like I'm way more sarcastic now as an adult than maybe I was as like a kid. And there were just like a lot of little things that I really appreciated. Especially with the first 4, because they're more like childlike. I don't know, but it was good. It was a good experience. And then another book that I listened to was Fury Born by someone Legrand, something, I don't know. I did not love it. It's like a high fantasy kind of book with like some weird kind of Avatar elements thrown in, and I don't know if this is like a spoiler because it's literally the prologue. Like it's the first chapter of the book. Like it's a self-spoiling book. The prologue lets you know, because there's like 2 characters that like are in different points in time and it alternates between the 2. And like because of the prologue, it makes it really obvious what the connection between the 2 women are. And so like there isn't, like there's supposed to be like this reveal, but it's not shocking because like I knew what it was just from listening to the prologue. And also, like, one of the characters goes through all of these, like, trials and, like, quest kind of things, but you know she lives because the prologue happens 4 years in the future. So it, like, takes all of the tension out of the book. And then you're like, why are you making me read, like, 500 pages of these challenges and trials and stuff that are supposed to be, like, life-threatening when I know she lives for, like, another 4 years? Because the prologue is like her having her baby and it's like 4 years in the future. And I'm like, this takes all of the, like, I know she survives. Like, what's the point of reading all this? There's no tension. And then there's like a really awkward, super long sex scene at the end that like, if you like how Sarah J. Maas writes her super awkward long sex scenes, then like you will not understand why I was just like, can this be done now, please? Like, this is just gross. Like, I don't want to listen to this anymore. So yeah. And then the next book I read that was not Harry Potter was, I finally finished listening to Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman, which is the sequel, Shusterman was the sequel to Scythe. Holy crap. I don't know why, like, I got halfway through it, like, I got it the day it came out, and I got, like, 50% of the way through the audiobook, and then I stopped because I got to this point where I knew, like, bad things were gonna happen to the characters, and I was like, bad things are gonna happen, and then I'm gonna have to wait, like, 2 years for a sequel, and I'm gonna lose my mind, and I, like, couldn't make myself keep reading. I don't know why I stopped, but I finally, like, went back to it, and it was so good, guys. Like, the last 2 chapters, I was literally just, like, sitting in my chair, like, what? Like, ah! So I'm actually kind of glad I waited, because now I'm, like, it's gonna be less than a year until I get a sequel. So, yeah, it's amazing. If you've read Scythe, if you haven't, it's like this weird, like, it's like a sci-fi but like more it's like a dystopian, but it's like actually kind of like a utopia, and it gets into like, I don't know, it's very different from anything else I've ever read. So I like recommend it all the time to kids at the library. And then the last book I read in October was Odd One Out by Nick Stone, who wrote Dear Martin. I personally liked Dear Martin a lot more. Odd One Out is about 300 pages, and like each of the three characters narrates about 100 pages of the book, and I only liked the first, like the guy, and then there's two girls, and I thought both of the girls were terrible, horrible human beings who were like really awful to everyone else in the story. And then there's like this weird side plot line with like a children's clown entertainer person that like goes nowhere and was so stupid, and like there's some really problematic stuff with like the way it treats. Like, the moral of the story, I don't think this is spoiling anything. The moral of the story is supposed to be, like, love who you love, and, like, don't let a label define you. Like, don't not do something because it doesn't fit what you've labeled yourself. But, like, the way it treats, like, you could get 95% of the way through the book and not have picked up on that. Like, one of the characters doesn't have her epiphany until, like, the last 10 pages of the book. And the way they talk about, like, questioning and, like, bi people is really, I thought was really nasty and, like, really problematic. And, like, obviously, if you read till the end, like, she's like, oh, like, I shouldn't have said those things. Those were terrible things to say to this other girl. And, like, I shouldn't, like, be so restrictive about labels and, like, labeling people and, like, trying to fit into, like, these boxes and stuff. But, like, it just, I don't know. I thought it fell short, and I was not a fan. But I really liked Dear Martin, which I just finished reading earlier. So that'll be in my January monthly thing. But I would recommend Dear Martin. I would not recommend Odd One Out. I did not think it was very good. So I am actually going to talk about, like, some of the stuff in the plan with me. You just saw me putting down, like, where that burgundy bow washi was with the bottle of wine from the deco page. My parents came in and visited us for an overnight in November. And so that was really fun. And that Friday was also like our staff development day at work, which is like super boring. It's just like a day of like meetings and lectures and stuff. And Sunday, Joe was on call, and then on Monday, it was my grandpa's birthday, so I marked that with the Scribble Prince Co. balloons. I'm, like, running out of colors. Like, I just kind of went with, like, a generic neutral brown. It, like, doesn't match perfectly, but whatever. I love these balloons so much, but I'm, like, all of my sheets are, like, over half empty, so sometimes I have to work with what I've got. And then the next thing here, Saturday was this huge Harry Potter event at the library this was like, so on top of being super sick, like all of October and November, I had this huge event that I had like volunteered to do all of these different, like I was involved in like 4 different elements, and I decided to put washi behind him just to like, I was feeling very like inspired by Mandy plans, and also I had been organizing my Simply Gilded washi before this, and I was like, man, I have like so many rolls that I've never opened, and I need to like pull my washi into more of my spreads. And I was like channeling my inner Mandy and while I was doing this. But and you'll see, like, I'm going to go back and add in a couple of events that I would have, like, if I had been doing this at the beginning of the month, I would have put those in and then had to, like, cancel them out. But, I just decided to put them in because, like, they were originally, like, they were in my pre-planning monthly thing, and then I just crossed them out. But, I had so much going on, and I was so sick the week before, like, just not, like, I'm, like, sick with the same thing that's been going on for the last couple months. But I was exhausted, and I had all this stuff I had to do the week actually I didn't mark my programs on Tuesday and Thursday, like before the Potter Fair thing. I had like Harry Potter. I did 2 Harry Potter escape rooms at work. I had a scavenger hunt. I had this big display with like Hogwarts letters that I did 100 like hand stamped wax seals. Never again. Like, oh my gosh, that was the biggest mistake of my life because like my hands just hurt so much. So I had all this stuff. So the weekend after that, I put down like that was one of Joe's cousins got married, and we actually like backed out of going to the wedding. Like we decided Friday night not to go. So like I called the hotel. Thankfully they let me cancel the room. And I didn't have to like pay anything. Like they let me cancel. So I was very excited. So thank you, Hilton Garden Inn, for letting me cancel with less than 24 hours notice. I really appreciate that. And we did not go to the wedding, and that, oh my gosh, my voice. That was definitely the right decision not to go. I was so just fatigued and hurting. And it was going to be like a 3.5 hour drive. But I had originally scheduled a haircut and like having lunch in Columbus with my mom on that Friday before. I don't know what I was thinking, because like I was working Saturday, so I had Friday off. So I had planned to get my hair cut that Friday. Like I think I'd scheduled it like back in September. And I was like, as it got maybe like 10 days beforehand, I was like, there is no way I can drive to Columbus like this. Like I felt better like the last week, like now, but this whole month I was just such a hot mess. So I canceled all of that stuff. Like November was the month of me just like dipping out of everything. I like went to Bible study like once the whole month. Like I just canceled on everyone. I didn't see any of my friends. I just literally like slept and like went to work when I could and like sat on the sofa. It was just not fun. So then the day after that wedding, we were supposed to, because it was like maybe 45 minutes from Miami University, and my brother lives down there. And we were going to go like hang out at Miami with my youngest brother, and that didn't happen. But that's a really cute like little cuddly paper and milk. So I just did like ha 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 nope, because I didn't have any other nope stickers that matched the colors of this. Because we did not go to Oxford since we didn't drive down. We just stayed at home that whole weekend. And then I got super marking Joe on call for Thanksgiving. I like couldn't find Thanksgiving when I was putting that down. So originally I had planned, like I bought all this fancy cheese and like a really nice bottle of wine, and I like was going to have this whole day thing. And then I woke up on Thanksgiving morning with a really pretty bad headache. And so I just figured like, oh, whatever, like it'll go away. Maybe I slept funny or something. I don't know. And then it just kept getting worse and worse. And I had like a fever on Thursday night, like the same kind of fevers I've been getting like for no reason. And I found out, like, I called my doctor's office on like Monday morning because I had the headache all weekend. And like I was super nauseous, and like I was having vision impairment. Like I couldn't see like out of my peripheral vision, and like I felt like my vision was vibrating. And I called on Monday and they're like, yeah, it's the NSAID I was taking, like the prescription NSAID. They're like, you stop taking it right now, but because it's a long acting drug, it took like 3 days to get out of my system. So I had this like insane headache for over a week. Like I slept all day on Sunday over this weekend. Like I literally took like 3 naps, and I'm not a napper. Like I just was like, all I could do was sleep for like almost a week. So Thursday was a complete and total bust. I was so upset. Like if you watched my stories, I was so bummed because like I wasn't upset to be alone because like Joe was on call all day. I was just upset because I like had this whole thing planned and I couldn't do any of it. But then on Friday, I like didn't go to work. I was in bed till like 3:00 in the afternoon, just sleeping. I did end up, because Joe was driving and I could like nap in the car. I did go to like his family's Christmas party, like, or Thanksgiving party at his uncle's house, just cause like we'd canceled on like several different things with his parents, and I like didn't want to super piss off my in-laws. It was just like, whatever. It was a 45-minute drive to his uncle's house, so it wasn't terrible. And then Joe's brother stayed with us Friday night into Saturday, and so I grabbed, because I had those out on my desk, the Wonton and a Million Harry Potter stickers to represent the three of us. So Jake's like really like easy to like get like he's not like a complicated house guest, so I was okay with him spending the night just because like I didn't have to do anything for him. So that was my monthly, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye.